Good morning.
Good morning to you, sir.
Well, I just want to make sure that you all know that mortars all have tailpipes. So
Yes.
Thank you for that point of order, sir. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay.
On it.
Can I just say, put on your former Democratic strategist hat for a minute. Fun fact, President Joe Biden, who is Joe Biden and also is president, and so therefore is
yes.
President Joe Biden.
Mm-hmm.
Did you say President Joseph R. Biden?
Yes, of the great state of
The
Delaware.
third.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
All right.
Checking.
I'm just making up for all the times I couldn't say president and another word next to it for 4 years. President Joe Biden has an approval of an astonishing 98% of Democrats, according to a recent Gallup poll. Can I just say, we're like a month in. I think they are doing an amazing, amazing job. I'm wearing my
Focused on the work.
I'm wearing my I'm speaking because Kamala Harris, I think, also is kicking it. She did not take the giant gelatinous orange bait last night. They said as a prosecutor, somebody said, Savannah Guthrie said, as a prosecutor, do you think Donald Trump should be prosecuted? And she said, I'm vice president. I mean, she basically said, I'm not speaking as a prosecutor. I'm speaking as vice president, and our job is to get COVID relief and get the schools open and etc. Right? I mean, good for her.
Yeah, I think we had enough of.
I think we all know the answer is yes, of course. As a prosecutor, she thinks but she's I think they're handling stuff amazingly well. What's your take?
I think you let the professionals handle it, and I think we had enough of the president and vice president inserting themselves into legal matters
in the Justice
over
Department.
The last 4 years in the Justice Department,
right.
Which is why we need Merrick Garland confirmed right away. And we need to make sure that things get back to to normalcy there.
Right. Let's hear that. We have it. Cut 3, Sean. Kamala, Vice President. Oh, did I mention Kamala Harris is Vice President? So she's Vice President Kamala Harris. Who is Vice President? Who is Kamala Harris? Who is Vice President Kamala Harris?
Do you think that President Trump should be criminally charged?
Right now, Savannah, I'm focused on what we need to do to get relief to American families, and that is my highest priority. It's our administration's highest priority. It's our job. It's a job we were elected to do, and that's my focus.
But you're a former prosecutor, so I got to ask you, is that a strong case against the president, a criminal case that Mitch McConnell had raised as a possibility?
I haven't reviewed the case through the lens of being a prosecutor. I'm reviewing the case of COVID in America through the lens of being the Vice President of America.
Okay. Just saying, I
Just
thought that was
clear. That was Vice President Kamala Harris, who serves as Vice President under President Joe Biden.
Yes.
And I think it's important to point out that
who is Vice President Harris? Yes. Go ahead.
Yes, right.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And they are entirely focused on the problems that they were elected to solve.
Yep.
I don't think it's a question of whether or not Trump should be prosecuted. I think it's a question of what order the prosecutions should come in.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, now we're in the penniless and in prison phase of this whole thing. So good for Representative Benny Thompson. We're working on the penniless. Oh, and he's thrown Rudy under the bus, so we're close.
Yeah.
They made a point of releasing a statement saying Rudy Giuliani is no longer affiliated, right? I'm sure that was a coincidence the day after they were both named in the NAACP lawsuit.
My understanding is that Rudy has picked up a new client just for men gel. So we're looking forward to him.
Rudy's like, hey, it's kind of dark under this bus. Who's that? Oh, Michael Cohen. Hi. What am I doing here? This is very surreptitious. Okay. So let's talk schools, because obviously that is your area of expertise now, being a school board member. But I want to get your take, because obviously, I think it's a no-brainer that you vaccinate teachers first. But I do think I got from President Biden, who is President Joe Biden, and Vice President Kamala Harris yesterday, that, in such a divided country, Carl, I get that this is a tough subject because, half the country is just, no, if they tell us to do it, we're not going to, So, they're not mandating. I don't even know if that's possible. Is it for the federal government to mandate? About half the states are. I mean, they both said teachers should obviously be prioritized for vaccination. Can the federal government order states to vaccinate them first? I don't think so. Yeah.
I don't think that they can. Many states have laws that require or allow businesses or employers to require vaccines. Here in Virginia, teachers and school staff are what is called Group 1B, which is the second flight of vaccinations, which we're in the process of now. So my hope would be that every state would prioritize teachers and staff.
Yeah.
If we want them to be the quote unquote first responders that they are in keeping our schools open, we should be doing everything we can to make it safe for everybody.
Well, let's listen to what she said about that. And then on the other side, here we go. Cut two. Yeah. Kamala Harris, Vice
The
President.
American Rescue Plan, which the President and I have proposed, is a plan that is about getting our schools back open. Why does this connect with what we're talking about right now? It's going to be safer for our schools to reopen when we can get our schools the infrastructure needs, like helping them with their ventilation systems, helping them create social distancing with barriers, the things that are necessary to get them back open in a safe
But
way.
I don't want to beat it to death, but I know there are teachers listening, and the CDC has said they don't have to be vaccinated to go back to school. Of course, it's the priority.
We think they should be a priority.
Okay.
We think they should be a priority, and the states are making decisions individually about where they will be on the list of who gets vaccinated.
So that's kind of the same thing, Carl, that Joe Biden said President Joe Biden, who is president,
Yeah.
President Joe Biden, said in the
yes.
CNN town hall is because they already were screaming. Obviously, he mandated masks where he can in federal buildings,
Right.
but the second the federal mask mandate was right, people were like, half the country's screaming like toddlers on their back at Walmart. So that's because I think, again, are they saying that the best way is what I'm asking, to say teachers should be prioritized, stopping short of saying we ordered the states to vaccinate teachers?
I'm not sure they can order that,
Right.
But I would say, look, part of the weird failing here is that you've got part of this country who believes that Donald Trump should get the Nobel Prize for expediting the vaccine with, warp speed,
Right.
and they don't want to take the vaccine.
Yeah.
It's like this cognitive dissonance that exists has to be combated in some way. Here's what we do know, okay? About 68% of all people will affirmatively seek the vaccine out in any given setting. Here in Fairfax County, 90% of our educators and school staff signed up for vaccinations as soon as they were allowed to. 90%. That shows you how willing certain populations of this country are relative to the rest of the population. Teachers and staff are willing to get vaccinated so they can get back in the schools.
Yeah. Well, there's people like me that would use Travis's mother as a battering ram to get to the front of the vaccine line. And then we have vaccine hesitant people, which is part of the legacy stupid orange Hitler left us, right? Is COVID deniers, which we're going to run up against. We're going to run up against that wall again. The same anti-maskers are not going to want to get vaccinated, putting all of us at more risk, right? I mean, that's what the head of the CDC said about schools, Carl, right? Is we've got to get community spread down. We all have to do this. Right.
This is why when Fauci says, when you ask Fauci, which vaccine should I get? He says, whichever one you can, whenever you can.
Right.
So when it's your turn, go take your turn. Don't fall on your sword. Go sign up in the order that you're allowed to, and get whichever one you can. The other thing I would mention is that, there is some issue with historically marginalized populations being less likely to accept a mandate for a vaccine. So great attention and care has to be done by local and state governments to approach communities that have been abused by the medical profession in the past, to make sure that they feel comfortable and that they know it's safe. I think that's part of the reason that you see people like President Obama and others making a deal about getting their vaccinations. But there is a sizable portion of the population that for them, it's not about being marginalized, it's about politics. And that's, unfortunate because it puts all of us at risk.
Yeah. Carl, speaking of, again, people's reaction, big government, mask mandate, teacher vaccination mandate. Look at Texas. I mean, first of all, is it the most Republican thing we've seen? Ted Cruz apparently went to Cancun. I mean, it's not just Trump. This party, all of what's happening in Texas, as we talked about yesterday, is... And by the way, we weren't the ones that started this. Greg Abbott, I'm concerned about people. We have friends and loved ones in Texas. We're not douchebags like they are, like Ted Cruz is, that taunted us out here in California when we had wildfires. We were like, get them help, which is what President Biden did immediately. But Greg Abbott's the one that's on, Fox blaming wind and solar. So this is why, people had to go, that is completely incorrect, right? It's all over Twitter. Andrea Juncker said 88% of Texas electricity is supplied by natural gas and coal power plants. The electrical grid was deregulated, privatized, and removed from interconnected networks to avoid federal regulation and line the richest pockets. Simply put, Republicans everything up. And then blame everybody else. It's not just Trump, right? I mean,
and when their hypocrisy is pointed out to them, they do what Ted Cruz did, right? Ted Cruz was pointed out that he attacked California during its crisis.
Yeah.
And he says, my bad, as if that's supposed to make it up for
Yeah.
Californians or Texans.
And he didn't vote for help for Superstorm Sandy for the states back
Right.
east. And then there's such complete hypocrites. But it's, again, this was just good points on Twitter. Mark said, this is a good time to note that the electrical grid in Texas was deregulated, privatized, and removed from the interconnected networks to avoid federal regulation and increase profits to a small number of wealthy individuals. And, everyone from this douchebag, who is it, mayor of, where is this?
That guy.
That had to resign. He berates lazy residents amid a record cold. Rick Perry calls on Texas to endure frigid temperatures without heat to keep the feds out of their business. When are we going to stop electing people to government that don't think government should do anything to help people?
Don't forget that California's electrical crisis has started when Pete Wilson deregulated the energy company or the energy districts in California.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, this is a trend on the right. Privatize essential government services, and this is what you get.
Yeah. No, it is.
And remember, Gray Davis deregulated
Went down for
at
it.
He went down for it, but he deregulated it at the request of Enron. Enron was the one who pushed for the deregulation, and look where they ended up. They were a Texas-based company.
And this is what I also mean about just us not having a shared set of facts. Abbott went on Fox to play to the Fox audience and then said something completely different, when he was in front of another audience, because he knows very well that this was not about wind and solar, that's 10% of their energy. And also, this is the problem with no regulation. They didn't winterize. All of those things work fine all over the world, but because you don't want big government telling you what you got to do, they didn't winterize.